This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield and his better half, Marney Winfield. Oh, you ready to mix them in?
We're going to do the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Marney
start.
don't get mad at you, is he?
No. Mad at herself, I don't know. All right, let's see if this is good. It is the 10th of April, 2021. My name is Corey Winfield.
Marney Winfield.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Like Tyrone said. Mm-hmm. That was from him the other day, messing around. And he was funny because I told him we were going to do the podcast, and you were out in the living room asleep.
I was sleeping.
Yeah, and I knew better than to wake you up. So he was like, is she going to get mad?
Yeah, I'd missed a couple.
Yeah, you missed a couple that way. Yeah, wasn't meant to be. Tyrone and I got to kick it anyway, so that was pretty cool. Today, though, like the other day, I had the injury of the pulled hamstring or whatever. Mm-hmm. And today, it's like...
Worse?
I'm having a baby. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels, it feels like I'm having a baby. My big old gut is just like, oh. If I eat stuff, it just hurts it more. Last night, I had to let gravity take control of the flow from my mouth to the toilet. Okay, I threw up. And now I'm starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, if I got the COVID.
You always think you have COVID. You don't have COVID.
I have a little bit of headache, a little bit.
You literally are a hypochondriac.
I don't know about that. Because we put ourselves in danger every day. You know, we go out in public. And as my brother would say, all these poor white trash people running around with no masks on. Everybody that doesn't view the same thing that he views, he says they're white trash. But anyway, we put ourselves in danger. But I especially do because I transport people to and from treatment. And sometimes they tell me, oh, this person has COVID. And I'm like, psh, I got Neanderthal genes. Can't touch me. Don't faze me.
You're ridiculous. Because we would not be having these conversations if you had just gotten your vaccine like months ago.
Why?
Because you're an essential worker. Because I wouldn't have to listen to this. Maybe I have COVID. Maybe every day. Every day he says he thinks he has COVID.
It's not every day.
Yeah, it's every day.
It's not every day. All right, so I didn't need it a couple months ago. Have I gotten it in the past couple months? Nope. That was me thinking about it. But this time, and I don't know, maybe it's in my head. Because you take somebody that you know that has some COVID, and just automatically you get a cough, you're going to go, uh-oh. Or that's COVID.
So you wouldn't have all these reservations if you just would have gotten your vaccine, right?
But see, I heard, though, if you had Neanderthal genes, that you don't get COVID.
All right, let's talk about recovery.
That's what I heard. All right, let's talk about recovery. The other day, on Thursday, the 8th, it's a good show. My mom said she loved it. She laughed. Hopefully you liked it too. But I also said on that show that I had a story to tell you. Mm-hmm. And I kind of do. Well, I don't remember the story I was going to tell you, but I came up with another one. And this is kind of based around some things that are going on right now in the life of Marney Winfield and Corey Winfield. And it's so true. And I'm going to share a story with you that's something that happened to me where I had a chance to tell the truth and I had a chance to lie my ass off. It goes back to 2019. This was probably May 2019, so almost 2 years ago. I had gotten this job at a place called Hearthside Grove. It's an RV resort in Petoskey. Really cool place, really cool people. I don't think they like me anymore. I'm not sure why, but it was cool little job after rehab, doing sober living. Just kind of get back on your feet, figure out what you want to do in life. It was a seasonal job, but it was fun. Not a lot of pressure. I didn't have a lot of management duties, which was kind of cool. I could just go to work and go home. It was great. So I got hired on, and they pretty much hired me right there on the spot from the interview, which was really cool. They didn't really do a background check on me. And at the time, I was sentenced to a year of probation. So I was on probation. I didn't even have my driver's license. They gave me like a little paper one. And it was restricted. I could only drive from I don't remember, 6 to whatever. But I had a curfew of 8 p.m. I mean, there was a lot of little restrictions on me then. And I remember when I got the job, they were like, hey, we need your license and social security card so we can, put you in the system. And I didn't want them to know that. I mean, I had a license, but I didn't really have a license because it was restricted until July. So I was like, well, I looked up online, what you needed to verify who you were to your employers. And I had gotten a voter registration card, which works. And I actually had a copy or a photo of my social security card. So with those two things, I avoided the whole license, which I'm sure they thought was a little bit weird. The office lady, I'm sure she thought that was a little bit weird. Normally people just give us their ID, but you're busting out the voter registration card and saying that that's valid proof. I'm like, why would you know that? Weird. But I did it, and that's what I did, because I didn't really want to have the conversation at first with them about what was going on in that part of my life. I was still very embarrassed about it, and I didn't want them to judge me. Like most of us, we don't like to be judged. We don't like people knowing some of the bad things that have happened to us, or the bad things that we've done, or may have caused other people harm or whatever. So I remember one day I had to ask for, it was middle of May. I had to ask for time off work to go to the UFAM rally, which UFAM is Unite to Face Addiction Michigan. It's like the biggest rally in Michigan for recovery. And I had asked him for that off. And he said, sure, but what are you doing that day anyway? Why do you need it off? And I was like, oh, we're going to this little recovery rally. It helps people, with addiction issues, and people in recovery can come together and kind of let our voices be heard. And I was like, oops, I let that slip. And he just kind of looks at me and said, okay. So are you one of these people in recovery? And right then, I had the choice to say, no, I just help them, and kind of go down that road. No, I just really like helping people and stuff like that. Or I could just come clean and say, yes, I am. And then he would know. He would know that I had suffered with alcohol use disorder, and I was an addict. I was addicted to alcohol. And he's probably going to judge me. He's probably not going to leave me alone in this place because he's going to think I'm going to steal stuff or whatever. Or I could just lie, and just say, no, I just like helping people. And then I could smile and we go on our day. But I chose to tell him the truth. I chose to tell him, yeah, I am one of those people in recovery, and I just got my 90-day coin last month. And he said, well, good for you, man. That's really good. Then he goes to tell me, that since we didn't really know too much about you when we hired you, it kind of dawned on us that we didn't know anything about you. So we looked you up. We looked you up on Facebook and this and that, and we saw that you were in recovery, and, we think that's really awesome, and, keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, of course you're going to have that off, Hope you have a good time. If you need anything, let me know. Do you need a tent? Do you need a table? How you guys setting up? And then we started talking about the event. But if I would have lied, I would have looked like the biggest lying a-hole in the world, because he already knew. Mm-hmm. That was one of those moments where it was just like, whew, like, I am so glad I made that right choice, that right decision right then, right there. I didn't plan on it when I woke up that morning, when I put my tight underwear on. I had no idea that I was going to be faced with that question or be put in that situation. And those are the moments where you find yourself making, in my opinion, the realest choices. Not the best, not always the best choices, but the realest choices. And I still remember that to this day. I remember where I was standing, where he was standing. I remember the whole conversation. So it's pretty cool that I still remember that as a moment that I still pat myself on the back for, because I did the right thing. Now, there are times where people don't do the right thing, and that doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them make bad choices. And then if you keep making those bad choices, bad things are just going to keep happening. Mm-hmm. If you know something's wrong, if you know something's not right, but yet you still do it, that's addict behavior. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're just a bad person. I don't know. Maybe you are bad. There are just bad people out there. That has nothing to do with addiction. But with people like me, people like you, these are choices that we used to make all the time, and we would always make usually the wrong one. We would make the addiction choice. Well, this and that, I won't know, and you justify it, and I'll do it. But when you come, boom, face to face with that decision, and you're like, is this going to make me feel good? Yeah, probably. But I know it's wrong, but ain't nobody got to know. Yeah, but I'll know. Yeah, but I'm not going to tell nobody. Just you and them going to know. Yeah, just me and this person will know. And it's just, next thing you know, it's justified, and you're right on in the middle of it. And then, you're losing friends, losing jobs, losing opportunities, and you're right back in it. Next thing you know, you're like sitting there in a stupid ass hotel room going, how did this even happen? Things were going so well for me. But it can all be traced back to that one choice that you made. And that's why I say it's a slippery slope. You start making those bad choices. Next thing you know, it's right back in it. Mm-hmm. So when people I know make bad choices, I'm not going to send them a text to call them out on it. Like, you idiot. What an idiot. You had it all going and then you made a bad choice. You idiot. I'm going to reach out and say, you're not using, are you? Are you good? You're not thinking about it? I'm more on that aspect of it because they know they made a bad mistake. They know. Why they made it doesn't really matter, But I know how easy it is to fall right off that cliff with just one bad choice. So, hopefully, if somebody is listening and they're like, man, I made a bad choice recently. People hate me. People think I'm a bad person. I mean, if you're a bad person, I think you're a bad person. But if you just made a bad choice, I don't think that makes you a bad person. It just means you made a bad choice. But, don't let that take you down to the old person who was addicted and those kind of behaviors, because it's just going to lead you straight down even faster. There's ways to make amends for making mistakes. People make mistakes all the time. Look, people voted in Donald Trump for president. Come on. I had to do it. Had to. Big shout out to Dustin Smallwood, by the way. Every time I talk about Trump's in not a favorable light, I'm going to give a shout out to Dustin Smallwood. He's a big fan. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. People make mistakes all the time, and just don't let it take you down.
Yeah, for sure.
Jim, they're grinning about.
I was just thinking about, I had like
Sex or something?
8,000 things to say, but I can't remember them because you just kept going on a different tangent. So, but no, well, one thing I was going to actually bring up is I was going to comment on my thoughts on disclosure of being in recovery and kind of my experience with that. And I was trying to think back in situations when I have shared the fact that I was in recovery, that I was in, not necessarily sharing that I was in, a fellowship or what have you, but, that I was living clean and sober. And in my experience, especially in terms of employers, I have always gotten amazing feedback from it. I've gotten like, good for you, and that's great to hear, and things like that. Or I've gotten like, kind of like, okay, like, you want a cookie? Like, what is it? That's good. I'm glad you're doing that. Because like, for me, I know how many jobs I've lost because of my addiction. I know how many things I've lost because of my addiction. I know how my life has fallen apart. And so personally, I felt when I started taking my my recovery more seriously that, and this is my own personal choice, that everyone's different. Everybody feels like disclosure is their, it is your business. It's your life, your decisions. You don't need to put it on a billboard or what have you. But I'm creating kind of like who I am and what people can expect of me, because I'm taking responsibility for my behaviors and for my commitment to me and my recovery. Now, if I was an employer and I had people coming to me and I had two people with the same credentials and the same everything, but one of them was in recovery and one of them wasn't, I would probably hire the person in recovery, because I'd feel like that they'd be apt to be more, on top of it, because that's what you're trying to do. I don't know. I mean, that's just how I look at it. And obviously, because I have, tugs on my heartstrings about people that are trying to change their lives and do better.
But what if they only had 3 months?
Same thing.
15 rehabs.
Same thing. I would
Red flags.
I know. Yeah.
Like, oh, great. It's just a matter of time for this dude to stop showing up.
And that's one of the stigmas that we do face. We all face that. It's like, why don't you come back when you have like a year? Or, early people in recovery need not apply. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't say that anywhere, I don't think. But, I don't know. I mean, it's completely up to you. But I know that for myself, I'm proud of where I'm at. I'm at where I am because I worked really hard at it, and I try to incorporate, being clean and sober in everything that I do. I do wear shirts saying I'm sober, So, I'm not saying everybody's got to shout it from a rooftop or anything.
And that's the thing. Like, I had a podcast going that I'd already started, and I didn't mind telling people who I know from back home or whatever. Who used to listen to me on the radio. I didn't mind telling them, but when I was face to face with an employer, I didn't want them to judge me on that. It was really weird. It was a weird situation. But I made the right choice. But
I think this goes to, we don't know the kinds of experiences that people have had. If we're talking to somebody who we have no idea who they are, we don't know what kind of experiences and past that they have with people in recovery, or not in recovery, or in addiction rather. They might just have only terrible stories with no happy endings, with nobody who's been successful, and so they're scarred by that. And that's how they think about addicts, is that we're hopeless and we're just screw-ups and it's only a matter of time. And, good luck to you, but I'm not taking that chance. And that makes me sad because, that stigma still exists, but, stereotypes and what have you exist for a reason. Mm-hmm. So you can't really, I don't know. It's a shame, but.
So is it a stereotype or is it a reality? Because I could give you some employers, and you could too, that would be like, oh, no, that's a real thing. Like, they only work for about 2 weeks and get their first check, and then they're right back at drinking again and not showing up to work, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I caused people damage from my past. I know I've scarred some employers.
Oh, you were speaking from personal experience that you used to do? Get a paycheck and then go drinking?
That's how it worked out, yeah. Usually it would, do a couple of weeks, get a paycheck or two, and off. Because once I started drinking, I just couldn't stop. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I had planned it. When I had that first drink, should I say don't take that first one? When I would take that first one, every time I was like, well, I'll just drink today. It was always like I had it planned out. This time it's going to be different and all that BS lies. And it never was. And then days go by and I'm like, oh, damn. I was supposed to be at work. Oops.
Right.
Because I'm not going back there.
Speaking of stigmas, I was doing, I spent some time today doing recovery coach training. And it's talks about working in emergency rooms, recovery coaching in emergency rooms.
Mm-hmm. What'd you learn?
And I mean, there's a lot of the basics of it are just kind of set in that foundation of, maintaining, boundaries and professionalism and having knowledge about, what it is to be a recovery coach, coming in, fully suited with, to be a resource broker and respectful and, maintaining confidentiality. So, and then this particular training just takes it one step further. Is how would you engage in your services as being recovery coach in an ER setting, which is tricky, because you're an advocate for this client or patient rather at that time, and you don't know them and you only have a limited amount of time with them, and everybody's different, and what kind of, what state are they in terms of the stage of acceptance of where they're at with their addiction. Do they even want to hear the words coming out of your mouth? So, but we talked a lot about the stigmas of individuals that come into the ER and how, like, the nurses and the doctors feel about us as addicts coming there, with overdoses or having had seizures. And that's a tough one, because it's a hard one to dissolve. Those feelings, those stigma, those feelings of us being those, those people.
Yeah, talking about the emergency room, just, I don't know, it just sent me back to a place where it's very uncomfortable. And this guy came in, I can't remember his name, and I had seen him like maybe once before. I think maybe I did an intake with him at the outpatient place. But he came in and started calling me names. He called me an MFer. When are you gonna effing learn? That was the very wrong approach to take with me. I don't know what if I don't know.
How'd he get there? Where'd he come from?
I don't know. The place, Riverwood, maybe.
So he was supposed to be some sort of recovery coach, or
some kind of substance use disorder counselor or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not a. I just remember how unsettling it was. Like, dude, like, if you think that's getting through to me, leave and come back and start again, because that's not how you approach me. But I mean, some people, I guess, need that. They need to get yelled at and called an MFer, and I don't know. That wasn't the approach for me. But when you were talking about that kind of stuff, and that's the first time I really thought about that guy in a really long time. But yeah, that definitely was not the approach. And neither is like the babying approach doesn't work either. Oh, you're just, it's okay. It's just the matter of fact of, all right, man, well, let's get this figured out and let's do this together. Like, what's your next steps kind of thing. Those were the most effective for me, because then I wasn't like feeling like, entitled, almost like, oh yeah, I deserve to drink because of that, or oh yeah, you're right, and I am a person who's in a lot of pain and going through a lot of things. You're right. But it was just like, it was more moving it forward to not like, why did you drink? Why did you do this? It wasn't the interrogation of it all. It was, let's just move you along. And they did listen, because I would talk about, well, this is why and this is that, and they weren't justifying it or anything like that. They were just like, yeah, that happens, man. Let's just, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah, exactly. That's the key right there.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad that you were doing the recovery coach training for the emergency room stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got another day of it tomorrow, but
nice. I wasn't invited to that training.
You weren't?
No, I don't get invited to trainings anymore.
I can't remember how I ended up signing up for that.
You're gonna have more plaques than me. You might already have more plaques.
I think I do.
Dang. Look at you.
I know.
To pay you more.
Yeah, right. I wish. I wish.
Nah. Well, I don't remember the story like I said I was going to tell, but that one I did tell, I think is pretty fitting. Like I said, about making the right choice and the wrong choice, and something to think about for sure. And don't beat yourself up. Now, tomorrow is the Marney's Sunday replay. So you're going to have to go back and pick a great episode from the past.
I did already.
Nice. On top of it.
Yeah. That, I did homework.
What else did you do today?
Shoot. Made dinner.
Dang. All while I'm sick. Ugh. Oh. No, I played around with their new app. It's really cool. I like it.
Is it up and running now?
Sort of. It is on like a tester app.
Oh, no.
But like,
so then it's no.
No. But if you have, well, I mean, I could share with you the tester app, but you're like, I don't want to think about anything else.
I know. I'm burned out today. I'm tired.
So I got to set it up.
It's already like tomorrow.
But like, no,
it's not.
It's not. But like Tuesday, I meet with them one more again, and we have everything that we need. So we'll submit it to Apple again and through the Google Play Store. And then, since we have everything already that we need, you don't even have to download it again. It'll just bloom. You'll be looking at your phone and go to the app and you'll be like, hot damn, it's new. It's that new hot shit Corey's talking about. You'll say it just like that. And I'm like, yeah, that was what I was talking about. But it'll be a lot easier to get the podcast. And we're going to have bonus episodes on there.
Oh,
of the
awesome.
podcasts, blogs that are just from there. So, I mean, you can still go to the website, all that good jazz. You can still listen on iHeart. We're going to still use the Spreaker software or whatever program to publish the apps like we do right now until we get up and going. And maybe in like November, we might switch it all over just through this service. But which, again, we'll still publish on the other stuff like Pandora or whatever. But why go to Pandora when you can just listen right there in your app?
Right.
Make it easy on you.
Yeah.
But just want to share that little bit of news. And other than that, man, I'm done. I'm going to go recuperate for the weekend.
Yeah.
From the week before I don't know. I'm just going to try to fight this COVIDs off. With my Neanderthal genes.
All right.
All right. But thanks for listening. 217recovery.com is our website. Check it out. There are blogs up there from Anna. I think I wrote one a week ago, maybe.
I haven't written one in a long time.
About 4 months, but that's fine. Nobody's counting. And
Man.
yeah, resources too if you need help, housing, food, you need help, maybe you just got out of jail, and there's all kinds of info on there for you to get help with under resources. So check it out, 217recovery.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Night, everybody.
Stay sober.